Hello, welcome to another video. We're at Newquay, Cornwall Airport, all checked in through security in the departure lounge and good to go now for our flight on an Eastern Airways ATR72 from Newquay up to London Gatwick. So if you fancy having a look at a propeller aircraft on a UK domestic flight out of Newquay, join me on this video.
Travelling the world on planes, trains, trams, and more. Join Mark Hopwood as he shows you some of the great journeys he's made. Let's travel to a whole variety of destinations. Remember to drop your comment below, like and subscribe, turn on the notification button, and never miss a video.
After that introduction at the airport, let's just backtrack a little bit. I arrived in Newquay on the train, and here's the railway station, which is in the middle of the town, but it wasn't long before I was heading to the bus stop. A network of double-decker buses are operating around Newquay, plenty of capacity. My bus took me along the seafront, along the sea wall, and then down towards the airport. It's not a long journey. Newquay Airport's probably just over 10 minutes from the town, and here we are in the airport. That's the check-in area, quite a low roof. It's quite a small airport. There was only one flight departing and one desk open, but it took a while for the people in front of me to have their connecting boarding passes sorted out. Eventually I was all checked in and through security, which also took a tremendously long time. All the equipment I used seemed to be something they'd never seen at Newquay Airport before, but eventually I was checked and allowed through. You can see here the departure lounge, pretty quiet, not very busy, and of course with just that one flight to London, which was not fully loaded, that's hardly a surprise. So our aircraft was stood on the ramp ahead of the terminal, and it wasn't long before we were allowed onto the aircraft. Now the ATR72, you board from the rear, not the front, relatively unusual.
And as the aircraft doors are now closed, can you please ensure that all your mobile phones and any other personal electronic devices are now set to their flight safe mode. We're very pleased to have you on board today. We do hope you have a comfortable and enjoyable flight. But before departure, I would like to draw your attention to the following safety information.
So Newquay to London Gatwick on Eastern Airways on the ATR72. A relatively short flight, but of course takes longer than it would with a jet as you're relying on the turboprops. Flight took place in the middle of the summer. Golf India Alpha Charlie Yankee. Total journey time including taxiing 1 hour 12 minutes. That's the seat map of the ATR72. I was in row 5, and as I said, boarding through the rear. So the further you are at the front, the longer you have to go and the longer you wait. Eastern Airways was formed in 1997. Routes emanate mainly from 4 airports in the UK. Relatively small airline, unaligned generally, although they are operating some flights on behalf of other aircraft. We taxied out to the southeast and then took off to the northwest with a turn over the Atlantic, but then across Cornwall, North Devon, and then across Devon and out over the English Channel, but only just as we made our way towards Gatwick along the southern coast of England, close to Exmouth, just north of Weymouth there, across the northern suburbs of Bournemouth, a little bit of the Isle of Wight. We got good views of Portsmouth, and then I'll show you the approach to Gatwick in just a moment. You can see lots of empty seats on this aircraft, although it's a Friday afternoon in the middle of the summer. It wasn't actually that busy. So let's have a look at that taxi out at Newquay International as we made our way to the runway for departure. airborne out of Newquay Airport heading for London Gatwick. Slower progress, of course, than a jet, but soon we had hot towels handed out, and this is how you use a hot towel on an aircraft once it's handed out. And quick look round the seat around the aircraft, the emergency card for the ATR72. Pretty standard procedure, but of course no exits at the front, as I've mentioned a couple of times. In-flight magazine, small table that folds down, one class of operation on this aircraft. Seat pocket, not quite sure when the last time they cleaned that was, but relatively modest in size. Just a reminder, of course, quite a few empty seats around me, but that was good. It allowed me to film without worrying about disturbing people, and to show you a little bit about what this Eastern Airways ATR72 is like. So we were soon settled into the cruise. A modest drink and snack was provided. I had a black coffee and a pack of shortbread biscuits, which was perfectly adequate on a short flight like this. And before too long, we were actually commencing our descent as we were heading towards London's Gatwick Airport. But first of all, we were passing over Southampton, passing some of the cruise ships, the ferries that operate, of course, in this area that you can see from the English Channel. Some great views on this flight. There was light cloud cover for some of the journey, but not very much at all. And now I thought I'd just show you the arrival at London Gatwick. So heading in from the west, we then did a loop around the sort of Haywards Heath area to Lewes Height, and then heading east, and then that turn before we got to the border with Kent, and then straight in for a runway 26 left approach, leaving the runway, turning off onto the parallel taxiway that doubles as a runway, and our taxi to the south terminal, to the domestic stands that still exist, where you can leave the south terminal without having to show your passport or go through any immigration. So here we are, passing over the M23, continuing that descent down to runway 26 left in this ATR 72, and very soon the familiar sight at London Gatwick of the long stay car park. Quite a lot of car parking provided over the second car park, and then shortly crossing after yet another car park, the railway line that serves Gatwick, and the adjacent road across the runway threshold, and landing here at London's Gatwick. And that final bit of taxi brought us onto one of the domestic stands just adjacent to a Ryanair 737 that was parked up at Gatwick's South Terminal. Short walk through the terminal once we were able to disembark the aircraft from the rear through to the domestic arrivals. Not many domestic arrivals at Gatwick these days, but there are a few flights from Scotland and Belfast, Jersey, that bring you in to that part of the terminal. Of course, the engines were switched off as we taxied in, so all that remained for us to do now was to get our belongings together and head off the aircraft. And I'll show you now just a brief glimpse of the aircraft as we disembarked and then headed down to the railway station at Gatwick. There's departure board my train to Reading, and I was able to head through the airport down the escalators onto platforms 1 and 2. Hello from Gatwick Airport railway station. So enjoyed my flight up from Newquay. Not that many people on the flight, so probably not a really serious competitive threat, but an interesting experience nonetheless.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and click the notification button so you don't miss any of the great trips Mark has coming your way on this YouTube channel.